latest news on your $2,000 fourth stimulus check update, as well as recurring stimulus check update and daily news. The House has finally returned back in session, and the Democrats have finally come together to advance the stimulus bill. But what exactly happened here? All I can say is that it was quite eventful, so you're going to want to hear this. Are some of you guys still waiting for your rental aid? Well, recent news says that roughly 90% of the federal rental aid is still untapped, meaning there's over $40 billion available in rental assistance. But first, I want to say welcome back to all my subscribers. I really appreciate you guys. And for those who are brand new to the channel, we cover all things personal finance, investing, cryptocurrencies, stock market updates, and of course, stimulus check updates and stimulus package updates. So if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, join the family, and tap the notification bell. That way you're notified as soon as I release new videos and updates. And as always, a super big thank you and a big e-hug to all my family members out there who always hit the like button on every single video. I really appreciate the support, you guys. In fact, I really love the community that we've built. I can't believe that it's been going on this long, right? But surprisingly, I have actually seen mixed opinions about whether or not another stimulus check should actually be provided. Some of you guys are saying that a fourth stimulus check should be provided to, millions of Americans who are in need right now, which is a true story. There are millions of Americans in need, and a fourth stimulus check could be used to help with the rising rent costs, the cost of food and inflation, not to mention utilities, or even, just allowing you guys some breathing room, right? But at the same time, I feel like another group of you guys here on our YouTube family is actually saying that the additional stimulus checks could cause inflation to keep going up, making everything that we buy, like food, gas, and real estate, just to name a few, keep going up in price. And I get it. I understand both sides of the argument. In fact, many economists are speculating just how bad things could get from an inflation standpoint. I mean, some have even warned of the potential of hyperinflation. Can you imagine going to fill up your car and finding out that gas costs like $12 a gallon, or that one burrito at Chipotle costs $19, or finding out that, your rent is going to go up an additional $700 when you renew your lease? It's just crazy to think about the impact that inflation can have on the prices of everything that we buy. But the truth is, inflation is staring us right in the face right now. But how do we protect ourselves and our families and potentially maybe even make some money from all of this? Now, this is why I've been looking more and more at gold as an investment to hedge against inflation and as a way to protect myself and my family from skyrocketing inflationary expenses. Now, of course, you guys should always consult a licensed professional advisor before, making any kind of financial decisions. And this is definitely not investment advice. Now, if you would like to see why I'm looking at gold as being a potential safe haven and how I'm looking to prepare myself against the coming inflation, you should definitely get your free copy of the special report on gold compiled by a team of millionaires that explains exactly why billionaires are stockpiling gold right now. What do these billionaires know that we don't know yet? After this video, download your copy using the link in the description of this video, and I'll also drop a link as a pinned comment down below. Now, here's the daily update on the bipartisan infrastructure bill and the $3.5 trillion budget plan, aka the stimulus bill. So the House has finally returned in session, and the Democrats have finally come together to advance the stimulus bill. But what exactly happened here? How did House Speaker Nancy Pelosi even convince the group of moderates who are so against the stimulus bill unless they vote on the infrastructure bill first? Let's find out here. It says here that House Democrats on Tuesday rallied behind a new strategy to advance President Biden's economic agenda shortly after Speaker Nancy Pelosi struck a deal with a small group of moderates that was threatening to blow up leadership's carefully laid out plans to pass trillions of dollars in federal spending. The House voted 220 to 212 strictly along party lines to adopt a new rule that allows Democrats to immediately begin work on a massive $3.5 trillion social benefits package. The rule also requires the lower chamber to take up the Senate-passed bipartisan $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill by September 27th. Now, with 222 votes from the Democrats, this means all Democrats voted in favor of the stimulus bill. Now, this is great news. So what's next, right? Now they'll be able to begin crafting the legislation for this bill, which will be the most critical piece. Now, remember, the Democrats have a lot on their agenda that they want to include in this bill. Some of these stimulus provisions include Medicare expansion, universal pre-K, lower drug prices, 2 years of community college for free, of course, and an extension of child care tax credits, and a whole lot more than that. But the question is, will they also be adding a fourth stimulus check here? How about monthly recurring stimulus checks? The possibility is definitely not zero here. In fact, each of these items is still on the table. There have been calls among Democrats for a fourth stimulus check as well as monthly recurring stimulus checks, so they may put this on the table very soon for negotiations. Even President Biden himself is apparently open to a fourth stimulus check, so it may be unlikely to see those right now, but the possibility is still there. Only time will tell, so I will be sure to update you guys on that as soon as the news comes out. Now, back to the voting win. How how did the progressives win the moderates to their side? I'm gonna touch on that one in just a little while. But meanwhile, let's continue here. The deal that Nancy Pelosi reached on Tuesday provides a brief detente between Democratic moderates and progressives as House lawmakers leave Washington to resume their summer recess. But the internal sniping over process, strategy, and timing foreshadows just how difficult it will be for the party to stay united when it comes to turning its policy goals into law in the coming weeks as it seeks to show voters that they can govern. So in simpler terms, this is basically saying that the deal provides a sort of monetary peace between the two groups in the party. There is still a lot of ongoing internal conflict, and that will be a huge obstacle that the Democrats will have to maneuver to be able to get this stimulus bill done. But exactly how long will this monetary peace last? The upcoming sessions will surely be filled with more drawn-out discussions like the one that we had recently. But let's move on. House Budget Committee Chairman John Yarmuth said that writing the legislative text for some components of the $3.5 trillion spending plan, such as making changes to Medicare benefits, will be relatively easy to do since the programs already exist. But policy goals, such as creating a new universal child care program, will be much more challenging to craft because you have nothing structurally to use to implement it. So, some of the provisions that the Democrats want in the stimulus bill will actually be improvements on current policies. I understand how that would be actually relatively easy to do. It means that they're just going to have to add and change a few things here and there in order to get what they want. Now, on the other hand, creating something new like the universal child care program, that's going to be a little bit more challenging as there is nothing to stand on in the first place. So that's a lot of work to do. Now, will they be able to get this done by the end of September is the big question. Remember, there's a target date of October 1st that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi announced recently. But let's continue. Pelosi has asked many of her committee chairmen to begin working on relevant parts of this gigantic spending package and report back to Yarmuth by September 15th. The budget panel would then package everything together and prepare it for a floor vote when the chamber is scheduled to return to Washington in late September. It remains for us to work together, work with the Senate, to write a bill that preserves the privilege of 51 votes in the Senate. So we must work together to do that in a way that passes the House and passes the Senate. We must do so expeditiously, Pelosi said on Tuesday on the House floor ahead of the rule vote. Now, with September 15th being right around the corner, one of their deadlines for one of the parts of the bill, we can see here that they're really trying to get as much work as possible in a very short period of time. Now, currently it's late August, which means, that we'll be able to see if the two bills, the infrastructure bill and the stimulus bill, get passed in 1 month. There is a lot at stake here, guys. So the pressure is high for these lawmakers. But let's continue. Pelosi added in a statement that she is committing to pass the bipartisan infrastructure bill by September 27th, shortly before current surface transportation programs expire. I do so with a commitment to rally House Democratic support for this package, Pelosi said. So it does seem like September 27th is the updated target date, as there are expiring target programs that they're going to have to account for. That's really only a few days away from the initial target date of October 1st, and that is still a month away from now. Now, will the moderates who oppose the stimulus bill without the infrastructure bill being passed first cooperate properly until then? We'll just have to see about that one. Just recently, the group of moderates actually caused the discussions to drag out longer than it should have, and that did not make things any easier for Nancy Pelosi and others. But let's see here. After talks that stretched late into Monday night and then Tuesday morning, Pelosi and the moderates agreed to have a resolution committing to vote the bipartisan infrastructure bill by September 27th. Democratic leaders also adjusted the rule containing a provision to automatically deem the budget resolution as adopted so that the House would not have to hold a standalone vote for it. Hours later, moderates, still concerned that the pledge wasn't binding enough, secured additional language in the rule stating that the House shall consider the bipartisan bill on September 27th if it isn't voted upon by then. So they have finally reached a compromise with this group of moderates. That took long enough, didn't it? The updated target date mentioned by Nancy Pelosi earlier is actually also the date agreed upon with the moderates. So this just makes September 27th even more significant for the passage of the Democrats' agenda. Will they be able to complete the legislation for the stimulus bill by then? That is one of the big questions that could cause a problem down the line. We'll see about that one. A lot is at stake here, and that includes the possibility of more stimulus. So I know that all of us in our community are going to be keeping a close watch on this one.
Democrats on Capitol Hill are on track to pass two massive infrastructure packages.
Yeah, one invests in traditional infrastructure, the other in what the Biden administration is calling human infrastructure. Our D.C. correspondent Alexandra Limon live in Washington right now with more details on how Democrats were able to reach this deal after months.
Today, Democrats were able to agree and vote on advancing that multi-trillion-dollar budget reconciliation package. But now Congress has to get to work to decide exactly how much money to spend and what to spend it on.
Today, the House of Representatives has taken significant steps toward making a historic investment that's going to transform America.
After negotiations went into the middle of the night Monday, House Democrats finally reached a deal with each other on Tuesday that moves the budget resolution forward.
It involves common sense and prudent spending on what Americans need.
California Congressman Jim Costa was one of about a dozen Democrats who held up negotiations. Costa thinks $3.5 trillion is too expensive.
Many of us believe that that is aspirational and that what agreement is ultimately reached on reconciliation will not be that number. That's not a number that I can support.
But Speaker Pelosi did get Democrats on board to start working on the budget reconciliation package that invests in so-called human infrastructure measures, like health care, green energy, and free pre-K and community college. Congress still needs to decide exactly how much domestic spending will happen.
What is important to us as a nation should be reflected in our budget.
The deal Democrats reached also guarantees a vote on the $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure package before September 27th. Republicans like leader Kevin McCarthy are not on board with the plan, saying right now the sole focus of Congress should be Afghanistan.
Until every American's out, we should not be working on anything else.
And this deal on the budget reconciliation package and infrastructure was passed along party lines with only Democratic support. Reporting live in Washington, Alexandra Limon.
But what do you guys think about these recent developments, though? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Up next, are some of you guys still waiting for your rental aid? Well, recent news says that roughly 90% of federal rental aid is still untapped. Now, this is quite shocking, as this means that only 10% or more of rental assistance was ever even handed out to people who needed it. But why is this the case? Let's see here. Only 11% of federal rental aid has made it into the hands of tenants, landlords, or utilities companies, according to data released Wednesday by the Treasury Department. The department revealed that just $5.1 billion out of the total $46 billion in rental and utility assistance allocated by the government has been used to prevent evictions for roughly 984,000 households. Most of the aid is still being held by the state and local groups responsible for distributing it. So there's still more than $40 billion in rental and utilities assistance that's still undistributed. That is a massive amount of money. Although 984,000 households have benefited from this already, how about the millions of other homes still waiting for their aid? Comment down below if you're concerned about being evicted and you haven't received any type of rental aid. I'd love to hear from you guys. The distribution of assistance needs to be more efficient if they want to be able to get this aid to the people who need it most as soon as possible. But let's continue. State and local organizations provided aid for more than 341,000 households in July, a gain of 50,000 from the previous month, with about $1.7 billion in allocated aid. But the program has failed to reach millions of tenants facing eviction upon the October expiration of the Centers of Control and Prevention, the CDC's eviction moratorium. Too many grantees have yet to demonstrate sufficient progress in getting assistance to struggling tenants and landlords. After September, programs that are unwilling or unable to deliver assistance quickly will be at risk of having their rental assistance funding reallocated to effective programs in other high-need areas. Now, this comes according to the Treasury Department as of a statement on Wednesday. So basically what they're saying is if you haven't gotten your money yet, you might want to hurry up and do so, because it's kind of like if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. Comment down below if it's a little bit tricky trying to get this rental assistance and you need some assistance from me or, one of my resources. Let me know down in the comments down below. I'm going to see if I can put something together to help as many people out as possible. Now, it seems like the Treasury Department is disappointed with the programs that have been slow and inefficient in distributing these funds. Now, remember, the extension of the eviction moratorium will only be until October 3rd. That date is going to run up on us really quickly. So, these programs will have to double their effort in order to get the aid out to the people, since the time is ticking right here. But what do you guys think about this, though? Is this another case of the government being too slow, or is maybe the government too complicated to allow people to figure out how to get access to this money? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you haven't already, do like this video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, join the family, and definitely hit that notification bell so you're notified as soon as I release new videos and content. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care and be safe. On the next one. Take care and be safe. On the next one.